Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, I just made it to the storage. All right, this is gonna be day two right here. This is gonna be the follow-up to the video that I was explaining a little while ago. That I want to get a little bit more into depth, into detail. I'm gonna try to do this as fast as possible. I'm only working with half a life of battery. While I was in the shop, I had it on a charger, but the power block actually wasn't on. I didn't realize it. Okay. I just came from my most famous store, so you already know. I always keep my signature lingering somewhere in the background, my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Okay. So just give me a minute because as you can see, I got a lot of things stored, so I'm gonna have to get things out again. So just bear with me. Okay, before I start with the top, first and foremost, in that previous video, I stated that the mid torque was at the bottom drawer. Okay, as you can see, this is the half-inch high torque. Okay, with friction ring, 2767-20 model. Okay, and then here, as you can see, this is the 3/8 stubby, the 2554-20 model. Okay, so that's one thing that I basically want to correct in that video. I will come back to this case right here, so just give me a second because I can't record and get it out with one hand. All right. Okay, so to give you, a view, as you can see, I have two batteries, and I have the M18 and the M12. As you can see, I have some extra torque sticks, but this is basically not for this wrench right here, but I actually keep them stored in this case. This is actually a 1/4 inch hex right here. These are the normal standard batteries that come with the gun, which are 2.0 batteries, but I don't really use these. I actually have 5.0 and 6.0 batteries. As you can see here, okay, this is the model number of this impact wrench, which is the 2753-22 CT, and this is the 1/4 inch hex impact driver kit. Okay. Okay, when it comes to the top, I'm gonna move some things from off the top so that you can basically really see the socket organization, so that I can go to each of the different sets of sockets. Okay. Okay, before I go in hard in detail, like I was showing, this is number one step bit that CP, the tool addict, basically sent me. Okay, when I first got this tool cart, I was having an issue, and with most people who have this US General 5-drawer tool cart, or whether it's the 5-drawer or the 4-drawer US General tool cart, they all have issues with storing long pry bars, as you can see, along the compartment side areas. Okay, in my most earliest videos, I did throw out a video basically demonstrating or basically explaining how to remodify it, but I actually never got an opportunity to show exactly how it was done. Okay, like I was saying, CP sent me this number one step bit, as you can see here, by Milwaukee. Okay, but this is the number 12 step bit right here that I use in a modification in order to bore the holes in order for my pry bars to fit. And as you can see, these are my pry bars here. Before they couldn't fit, and they succeeded the length of the cartway that you couldn't close the lid. So as you can see now, how they're bored and how flushed and they're laid down inside the cart. This bit right here is a very expensive bit. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is not a cheap bit at all. It's a very durable bit and a real good quality type bit in its steps. Okay, it cuts very smoothly. I will get out my hammer drill. I won't put the battery in it, or basically I can just simply just give you the idea. When I did this modification, okay, I did not drill downwards because the hammer drill won't be able to fit going down in the compartments on this end. So what I had to do is I had to drill from up underneath the compartment from the outside where it's exposed, and you can basically get um, the bit through. Okay, um, give you a good example, and you can see how it was bored out and how it was cut. Okay, and like I said, I didn't do this from downwards. I did it from up underneath upwards, and that's for those three, so that now you can see the length of the handles. Okay, now as you can see here, these handles are very beefy. Anybody who basically has the Milwaukee pry bars, they know how long these are and how beefy that they are. Okay. Okay, another thing that I wanted to point out, okay, with the two different battery terminal pullers, and how I was explaining the indifferential of basically how wide the louse is testically compared um, to the snap-on, and you see how thin it is. Okay, what I forgot to mention is that if you notice, okay, the jaws, this particular battery terminal is more designed to not just pull battery terminals, but it's more designed for two different applications, such as removing windshield wiper arms, okay, and how thick it is, okay. And then if you notice how thin it is, it's able to grab up underneath, okay, testically different compared to the snap-on, because if you see how the snap-on is basically shaped, and even though the snap-on is a whole lot much more aggressive, it would be a whole lot much more harder to get the snap-on up underneath the windshield wipers, testically compared to this version here. Okay, that was something else that I didn't point out in yesterday's video. Okay. Okay, another thing that I want to point out is what I have here. As you can see, this is a right angle adapter, okay, for your 1/4 inch hex drivers. There's some people who didn't know that this adapter existed right here. So what happens is when they don't know that this exists, then what happens is they wind up going to buy the actual right angle hex drivers, okay. When if you just normally had something testically like this hex, okay, as you can see, it has a 3/8 adapter on it, and but it's a 1/4 inch hex shank, okay. So as you can see here is a 1/4 inch hex shank, and then on this end is 1/4 inch, okay. So just as well as you see that adapter can go here, and you can have actually an extended length on a right angle, okay. um I threw this out in a video before, and there were some people and some viewers who actually didn't see this, so I just happened to decide to throw this back in, okay. Okay, as you can see, my magnet tools and my mirrors and stuff like that, okay, is Mako tools, okay. I have two different magnets. I have one heavy magnet, and then I have one smaller one in the mirror. And like I said, these are all Mako tools. Okay, what you are taking a look at here, it's called Block Sport. Okay, and as you can see, this is a wheel hanger. Okay, the part number is 707 5-T6. This is for Mercedes-Benz, Audi's, Volkswagen, and BMW. As you know, the rims actually sit on pins and not lug nuts. So you know, I do keep this block sport tool, because I do work on a lot of different make and model vehicles. I don't work on just very specific brands consistently, okay, on an everyday basis. I actually work on a lot of different, a large different range and span of vehicles, from cars to trucks, all sorts of fleet vehicles. I'm not a diesel mechanic though, okay. Okay, what I want to do now is I want to get into the socket layout, so that you can get a good idea, okay. Just because you see me throw up a lot of snap-on equipment, okay, and a lot of Milwaukee equipment, and just as well as I was just showing you, a couple of things from Macco. Okay, I also have Mac tools in this tool cart also, as I was showing. But I'm gonna get a little bit more into depth with it in a few minutes. Um, when it comes to sockets, okay, just as well as you see that I have snap-on equipment, and a lot of snap-on equipment. I have snap-on torques and so on and so forth, right? Give you a good example. You can see, as you can see, these are Craftsman's, okay? So, I'm not biased to using just any brand tools. Can you give me a second? Okay, as you see right here, at this socket rail, you see some sockets actually not on a rail, right? Those sockets are right here, okay. This is a rail that I actually keep randomly in my back pocket as I'm moving along in the shop. And basically, these are some of your most common sockets here, from 8mm to 19mm. And all of these sockets are by Tech, as you can see. These sockets are of a brand that comes from Advanced Auto, okay, that held up very well. I actually been using these sockets for roughly a year. The only socket that is on here that is not Tech is this 17mm here, which, as you can see, is gear wrench, because I actually lost this socket in Advanced Auto. What they did was they didn't have the replacement, so what they did was is they sent me this gear wrench over to the shop, okay. Okay, moving along, as you can see, from here all the way back, these are all Tecton deep impacts, as you can see. Give you a good example here, okay. This is the deep in Tecton. This is the shallow and half-inch Tecton. This is the 3/8 deep in Tecton, and then this is the 3/8 shallow in Tecton. As you can see here, this is a Craftsman's USA made 3/8 drive oil filter claw, and then back here is a half-inch drive oil filter claw, okay. um as you're taking a look right here, okay, as these torques that you can see here, which are made in Taiwan, they're chrome vanadium. This is a T50 right here. These torques are Tecton torques, okay. Even though, yes, as you already know and as you already see, I have snap-on, okay. Down here is rare snap-on universal, as you can see, universal swivel in 3/8 drive. These are the chrome versions, okay. And then you have your magnetic sockets. This is also snap-on. Okay, I have a special order in right now for the 8mm, the 12mm, and the 13mm, and another second 10mm. Then I also have some shallows that are coming also. Okay, once again, as you already know, I have basically all of the snap-on universal swivels, except I'm lacking the deep set. Okay, I have all the other sets in metric and the standard SAE, but as you can see here in the cart, okay, the brand is Sunex, okay, made in Taiwan. This is a 13 millimeter, okay. Back here, as you can see, is my Milwaukee 3/8 drives, okay. In yesterday's video, I didn't mention, but in previous videos that I demonstrated, you know, what sockets was what, you see these Milwaukees in here, but I just forgot to mention that they were in here yesterday. Okay, moving along to this 6-point set here. As you can see, this 6-point set and some other sockets I believe that are in this row here. Matter of fact, I'll go to the bigger sockets. As you can see, if it will focus in, these are Expert. Okay, this is a brand of Mac tools. Okay, um with this set right here, um that is in my tool cart. When I went to school for automotive service some years ago, back between 2011 and 2012, I was given multiple sets from school, which included Mac Expert tools, regular Mac tools, and what is it, Proto Professional USA made tools. And these were the tools that were basically distributed to me throughout the school and training that I went to during that time. And because I had those sets and they didn't have any skips, I basically threw this set in the tool cart. Okay, due to the fact that they didn't have no skips and they did hold up very well. The ratchets that came with these sets I actually discarded with the 4-drawer tool cart, and some Pittsburgh stubbies that I picked up from Harbor Freight one day that I technically never used. In my first video, you can see those ratchets. You can see that I had the Mac ratchets and certain Mac tools, okay, and proto professional USA made tools. Okay, that was a lot of equipment that was between this cart and the 4-drawer tool cart, just as well as some wrench sets that I actually had in the cart also. Okay, like I always said, you know, I always have guns laying in the back, you know, that you can never really see. You know, in some of the videos you would see the other Ingersoll 3/8 and the 1/2 inch sitting at the top of the tool cart, but the 3/8 stubby would always be sitting in the back. And I used to have what is it, a Craftsman's 3/8 pneumatic impact ratchet, but I wound up discarding the ratchet along with that 4-drawer tool cart, just as well as the Hyper Tough impact drive. I also gave the young gentleman that gun also, okay, along with the tool cart. Okay, moving along, I did go to this drawer yesterday, as you can see, and I did explain, you know, with these wrenches, which are the ratcheting wrenches by Milwaukee, which is metric and ASC standard, and I did state about the 1-inch Pro Logic ratcheting wrench. Okay, I didn't go that far to mention about the extra long Genius double boxing wrenches right here. This was a set that I had actually picked up first on a humble, because I kept getting on a snap-on truck trying to get the 0 degrees offsets, but my dealer never really held them, you know, and they was always a special order. I happened to come across these for a little bit more cheaper, so I basically wound up picking up this set, which is actually a good, reasonable set, and it's affordable. The only thing about this set right here is that when you come to some of the smaller sizes, they do actually have slight flex, but With these wrenches right here, you don't really tend to put too much force or too much torque on them. The more thicker wrenches don't flex as much. Okay, I did put up a comparison amongst these and the snap-on double boxing flex head ratcheting wrenches, because during that time I didn't have the 0 degrees offsets to do the comparison side by side. I actually have the 0 degrees snap-ons now at this prior moment. Okay, like I said, what's in here is brake tools and brake bleeding tools, snap-on brake spoon and bleeding wrench. Okay, later on in this video, I'll probably get out the 0 degrees offset snap-on so that I can get a little side by side comparison if I have time, with the Genius Professional extra long boxing wrenches. If I don't get the time, I'll give it its own separate video at a later time. Okay, because I just want to try to get through as much as I can get through, because I don't have but so much battery life at the prior moment. Okay, another example that I want to give to the younger technicians out there, when I state that it's not always required for you when you first get into field to jump out there and try to get a $5,000 and $10,000 tool storage. As you can see, this is a U.S. General um, Harbor Freight tool cart that you can get for fairly a reasonable price. Okay, not for nothing. When I bought the U.S. General 4-drawer and 5-drawer tool cart at the same time, I actually paid $140 for both carts. This 5-drawer tool cart and a 4-drawer tool cart. How I happened to come across it during that time is I was Googling Harbor Freight coupons, and I just happened to come across a particular percentage off coupon that a lot of people didn't even know existed, because the expiration date didn't end. And what it was is that I came across it on Google Images, and I never printed out the physical coupon. What I did was I wrote the numbers down, and I happened to go to a local Harbor Freight, and the day that I asked them did they have the tool carts in stock, they told me yes. And while I was at the counter, I just happened to tell one of the clerks at the register, could they run the numbers? So when they ran the numbers and they seen the differential that basically came off the carts, because people were paying over $200 just for this one particular cart. Okay, um, I forgot exactly what the percentage of the coupon was that it was off during the time this cart was going for, I believe, $200 and some change. But what happened was it brought it down to $86. So I paid I think $86 for this 5-drawer US General tool cart, and the 4-drawer US General tool cart during the time I only paid like $64 for it or something like that, or $62. Altogether, roughly what I basically paid for both carts without the trays was basically $140. Okay, and then with the attachments of the trays, I think I used another coupon to get each trays. Okay, so this is how I basically started to acquire certain particular equipment, because before I actually had these US General tool carts, I had a Northern tool cart that had a sliding top like some of the Snap-on versions. Okay, so just to give a little idea of that, um, when I make the statement to say um, I wouldn't advise for you to get out and purchase the expensive tool storage. What I suggest is, you focus on your equipment. Like I said, it's not all about tool truck brand equipment, but depending upon whether you're going to be in this field, you have to get it in your mind what you want to do. If you're going to be in it for the long haul, you're technically going to need more higher quality equipment. As you can see here in the last previous video, I did go to this particular wrench set, which is a Snap-on double flex head ratcheting set. Okay, and Not for nothing, this is when it comes to wrenches, these is one of the most expensive wrench set that they carry, besides when you start going into bigger size combination open end wrench sets, because they do have some that are very expensive. But basically each of these wrenches is basically $100 a piece, if not over $100. The whole set is I think 505 or something like that. Okay. But by me explaining that is just me trying to show you, this is just one set that is in this cart. So when I'm telling you about how much I paid for both US Generals, just alone in the price of this set, I can go to Harbor Freight and get that 46-inch or the 52-inch storage, if technically if I wanted to, to basically load everything that's basically in this drawer right here, just this one particular drawer. If I was to decide to discard this drawer, I can basically jump on a snap-on truck and buy like roughly about a $5,000 tool storage. In this drawer is just slightly underneath $5,000. It's a little bit almost close to between the ratchets, and just the ratchets alone and this particular set is a little bit roughly about $3,500, if not slightly a little bit more. And then with the couple of other tools that are in this particular drawer will roughly amount to a little bit slightly, if not underneath $4,000, but $4,000 at its mark. Okay. So you have to think about that. That's $4,000 in a tool cart that wasn't paid much for. Okay. And to give you another visual so that you understand, before I had all of these cordless, um, when I would get on a Snap-on truck, before I never used to buy anything from the Snap-on truck. One day I just happened to be on a Snap-on truck with one of the other technicians. I was just browsing around, and the dealer, he just happened to see me taking a look at one of their 14.4 cordless lines. I was looking at a ratchet and an impact driver, and he asked me, was I interested, and he threw me an offer. And for the price that he wanted for those two items with a charger and the batteries, um, I think it was something like 12 or $1,300 or something like that that he was offering both of the kits to me for. I think it was somewhere close around that range. I wasn't interested in purchasing any cordless during that time. But what had happened was, is later on that evening, I went home and I just happened to be online. Um, I wasn't even really researching for it. I actually was looking at a video or something like that, and I happened to come across it. So I said to myself, I'm like, well, there's a Home Depot not too far. I said to myself, I wonder if they have these items over at Home Depot. So what happened was, is I went in and I purchased the case that I was showing you at the bottom drawer. That was the first tool that I bought that actually came with the double charger with the two batteries. Once I got that gun, it was only about 2 or 3 days later that I wound up purchasing the other cordless that you see on the top. So one day, the Snap-on dealer, he comes in the shop and he sees everything sitting at the tool cart like this, and it was just like, Dag, I just offered you, the cordless on a truck, and it's now all of a sudden you just got all of this. And I said, yeah, I got these, and they basically outperform, what I'm saying, with you were offering me, and I paid a whole lot much more less. Plus, I'm still with the same battery line, and I have a charger that charges, both systems. So this is now where my relationship started with him, because now he realized, that I do my research. You understand? When it comes to certain particular equipment and technicians that I was working with around that time, all they basically deal with and all they really had was Snap-on. So they was more enough sleeping on the Milwaukee products. To one day a technician was doing a job, and he ran into a lug nut that was seized, and I used to tell him about how I had the hard torque, but they didn't care anything for cordless, because all they kept saying was is that the cordless couldn't compete with the pneumatic. So what happened was is he was trying to break the lug nut free, and he couldn't, and he started to move around in the shop and borrow other people's pneumatic impact guns, and their guns wasn't moving the bolt. So he started screaming out in the shop one day, I give up, I give up. He even went to a long breaker bar, and he was stepping and standing, and he's a tall gentleman who's not light. He's, he has some size and he's of weight, and he still couldn't break the lug nut. So I told him, here, I got my cordless gun. I was like, yo, why don't you let me give it a try? So he was still sleeping on me. Everybody, was standing around in the shop, and that's when I actually had to back out the Milwaukee Hot Talk, as you can see down here. Okay, and that was for the very first time that I used it, and for the very first time that I had put it to the test. Soon as I put this gun on a lug nut, it spent it right off like butter. So he couldn't believe it when we was in the shop. That's when he started saying to me, I praise you for that. I really wasn't believing in this cordless stuff that you was bringing into the shop. You understand? Because I was the only one in my shop who basically had all of this Milwaukee. I was bringing the whole Milwaukee line into the shop. I was the only one with these items, while everybody else had basically snap-on. So, when I'm on a snap-on truck, that's why it's been a couple of times that I point to the cordless, because, I know there's a lot of technicians and mechanics out there with their preference who actually like the 14.4 line. When it comes to me being on a truck, I'm not a big fan of Snap-on's cordless line nor pneumatic line. Okay, as you can see, I have a lot of Ingersoll Rand and Milwaukee cordless. Not for nothing, my Ingersolls do very well. I threw out a video about this 3/8 stubby back here, but in all actuality, this stubby really does not have any issues. It has its power. The reason why I was comparing it and throwing up videos about it, because one day I actually was using it on applications that you're not really supposed to use a 3/8 drive on, and I think it was a Ram 1500, or it was a big body truck that I was using that stubby 3/8 drive, and I was removing the lug nuts and removing the wheels, breaking the wheels free. And then the following next day, I was having an issue removing lug nuts from a Caravan. So it kind of mind boggled me, because, the truck specs were a whole lot much more higher than the Caravan's specs. But, that's not to say that it wasn't over highly torqued. During that time, I didn't have a digital torque wrench in the shop in order to actually check how tight it was torqued, or whatever the case might be. I actually don't have digital torque wrenches. I am gonna pick up a digital torque wrench sometime soon. It's just not a main priority to me at the prior moment, because I do have four different. What I got one, two, three, four. Actually, I got five different torque wrenches. Okay, four of them is in half-inch drive, and one of them is in 3/8 drive. Okay, three of them are preset torque wrenches, and the other half-inch is adjustable. And the 3/8 that I showed yesterday by KD Tools, the reason why I was saying is Proto is because Proto actually has the same design and same tool. Like, I can't tell which one of the brands rebranded it, or whatever the case might be. So in that video, that's why I was stating Proto, even though I was showing KD Tools. So this is why I was saying um from that last video, there's some things that I want to correct. There's some things, when I was shooting the video, I was just randomly shooting the footage and basically just trying to get out as much as information as I possibly could. But I just want to do things the right way, because I don't want to be mistraying any of the viewers out there who basically don't know. Okay, so as you can see, I have a lot of different tool truck brand tools, just as well as I was just showing you when it comes to sockets and stuff like that, which are not tool truck brand tools. Okay, but that's not to say that I don't have those things. Okay, another video, gentleman went out his way to say in the comments, you know, how they always see a whole bunch of hand tools and so on and so forth. And I guess he was questioning the fact of whatever type work that I do. I don't know what point that he was really trying to make, but he made a comment to say, well, you know, I see certain things that you have, but I don't see you with a fluke meter and this, that, and the third. Certain equipment that you see that I actually do not have. Other technicians in the shop where I work at have all of this equipment. They have the $5,000 and $10,000 scan tools, the Apollos, and all of that. So none of those things are of main priority to me because they don't even use theirs as often as they should, paying subscriptions and wasting money. You know, I use my blue driver and I use Bluetooth scan tools and I use other scan tools. Like um I'm not gonna go out my way to pull everything out from here, but I did put a link in the description of not the last video, but the video from yesterday, basically what's in this drawer when it comes to scan tools and test lights and stuff like that. That's Mac, and the test light is Mac, and um, well, you can't see the name on here, but as you can see, these are expert brand of Mac tools. Okay, I have all sorts of stuff in here. As you can see, these are Stillman Pros, and I have as you see, gray pneumatics. Like I have sockets and stuff like that all over the place. So it's not like I don't have these things because, you know, I get some comments in some of the videos like, you know, hey, you know, you should give this a try, or hey, yo, you should give that a try. They don't know that technically I hear what they're saying. A lot of that stuff I have. You just don't know that I have it. Um, in these videos, you are seeing certain particular equipment. When I'm able to get to my storage outside of the state and to my other storage in other state, then you'll be able to see that I have a long list of line of equipment. As you can see out here, I'm not too heavy in my wrench selection. I have showed the Milwaukee max bites and so on and so forth, and I show you the snap-on double flex heads and the genius extra long box heads and the 0 degrees. But you know, I have flare nut wrenches, I have regular shorter standard flex head wrenches, double flex head wrenches, stubby combinations, okay, line wrenches, but I have all of that stuff in my other equipment. There was no need for me to be repurchasing those items that I already had. Plus, some of that stuff is not commonly used in the shop where I'm at. The tools that I basically have in this cart is what I mainly more use when I was in the shop. But now when it starts to come to more technical work, this is why it's required for me to get most of the majority of my equipment from the other state and basically get everything all in one location so that I can basically change the storage. Okay. Okay, so I want to just wrap this part of the video up. You know, when it comes to just the tool cart alone, like I said, you know, when it comes to the younger technicians out there coming into the field, like I said, I don't advise for you, you know, to drown yourself into any holes or any debt. I don't know, you know, what your financial state is looking like, but me personally, I would advise for you to basically invest in the quality tools first. There's nothing wrong with this US General tool cart, but as you can see, this throughout time, it is fully loaded. The reason why I got rid of the 4 drawer US General is because technically there wasn't enough drawers, and I started accumulating certain equipment that came in certain particular blow molded cases, and it was my personal preference where that I didn't technically want to remove certain things from blow molded cases, and I wanted to leave the things in the cases. So basically, there wasn't enough room. So that was for what reason why I needed to discard that. You understand what I'm saying? So but technically, and personally, in my personal opinion, I really did like the 4 drawer, even though the 5 drawer actually has more drawers. Okay, and yes, it does sit higher with more cubic space. But the thing that I don't think that people notice about the 4 drawer tool cart is that the drawers are a whole lot much more wide, a whole much more wider in length and width. They're not as deep and as long as the 5 drawer tool cart. But in the 4 drawer tool cart, I can actually fit my 24-inch flex head snap-on wrenches in the drawers without having to fold the heads. Okay, in this 5 drawer tool cart, you can't do that. You actually have to fold the heads in order to lay the ratchets down in the drawers. So when you see this drawing, you see me open up the drawer to actually have the ratchets in it. You can't actually see all the ratchets until I basically start pulling them out, because there are ratchets that are sitting on top of ratchets. In this drawer, you see nothing but all snap on, but I actually do have 4 other ratchets that are not Tool Truck brand ratchets, but they are Milwaukee. Okay, from their service sets, I have the 1/4 inch set, I have 50-piece set, I have the 3/8 drive 56-piece metric and ASAE set, and then I have the most newest set, which is the 1/2 inch drive set that comes with the 1/2 inch ratchet. Okay, I also have that 3/8 drive 12-piece Milwaukee set that comes with the 3/8 drive roto head. Okay, but just as well as you can see in my snap-on selection, I also have the 100 tooth roto head, and then I have its little brother, which is the 1/4 inch. The only roto head that I do lack in this selection is that 3/8 drive on a 1/4 inch body, and I'm lacking right now the 0 degrees offset 3/8 drive ratchet. I was just gonna purchase that 0 degrees offset. I think it was 2 days ago in an auction. I was debating and deciding because I was looking at some other things. Like, it's not really important, I don't technically need ratchets. I have ratchets, and with ratchets that I have now, a lot of them are used less due to the fact of the cordless that I have. The cordless and certain extensions and universal wobbles and universal swivels enable me to get certain particular work done more faster and more efficiently. Okay, so that's just basically what that part is. Okay. Okay, what you're taking a look at here, I just got out one of my toolboxes. Okay, as you can see, this is a Proto Professional toolbox, USA made. Um, when I went to school for automotive service some years ago, this was a toolbox that was basically given to me with a long list of line of Mac tools and Proto Professional and Black Hawk and what was it, Mac tools. Okay, throughout the years, some of them I discarded, and some of them I did keep. Okay, um, as you can see, it has a top tray. Okay, here's some literature. Basically, everything that I basically learned in automotive service school, as you can see, on turbochargers and stuff like that, and exhausts, and have all data information. This is right here where you see a 328i convertible. This was a BMW that I had some years ago, where that I was having an issue with my convertible roof, and I was pulling up diagnostics on all data back then, to fix my own vehicles. I was using the school's all data to pull up a lot of information for some of my own vehicles and things like that. Okay, um, as you can see here, this little 10-piece Craftsman's. As you can see, down here is some of the expert Mac tools and things like that that I was telling you. You know, I had all of this stuff back in 2000, 2011, 2012. So, you know, some of that equipment, you know, when they was first launching that line, like I've been had this stuff. Okay, um, it's a manual to that hyper tough thing right there. But this is all literature, you know, from classes and stuff, and courses that I basically took when I was going to school. I never discarded anything basically that was given to me in the schooling and training that I went to. I've always kept everything just in case you know, I need to refresh my mind on something and, you know, go back and restudy something. Okay. But what few little essentials that you see that I have here is brake bleeding vacuum pump kit, and I have some gauges and some extractors and some bits. This is a Craftsman's oil filter claw. I actually have two of them in this box, and some work glasses, and one of my patches from when I went to school some years ago and things like that, and some specialized drilling bits, as you can see here. Okay, I'm not gonna go too hard with that, but that's just what's in this particular box here. This was more like a more storage box for other items and things like that. Okay, moving along to the next box. As you can see, got a heater gun in there. Have a another drop light. As you can see over here, have a clutch. Okay, here's pneumatic. That set that's down there is a tap and die set, and then, you know, I have some other essentials in here like lithium grease and things like that. I had some bottles in here, but one of them was leaking, I think, of pneumatic impact gear oil. I should not have had it in here. I just took it out, but I had that also in there. Okay. Oh, real quick, you know, I do have some older make equipment, some SK sockets, and some original old USA made Craftsman sockets and stuff like that. Okay, you can see SK. Okay, as you can see here, this is my Napa box. Okay, um, in this box is, you know, it's all pulling equipment and things of that nature, and, you know, some specialty sockets and stuff like that. This is 3/4 inch here, as you can see. This is a MOG. Okay, these tools are very, very rare. Okay, you can find this socket here, I believe, like on eBay, as you can see, is USA made. This is a T 412. These sockets are quite expensive right here. This is a 3/4 drive right here, as you can see. It's old. Okay, but yeah, I have basically specialty sockets that are sitting here. Some pullers, some alignment tools, old clutch camber kit tools, a few snap-on items, all that makes that are in here. Okay, there's some essentials and things over here that came out of here. Some adhesive, sanding pads and things like that of that nature. That piece that I was showing from the super the old Forge Super Sharp hub puller. That piece is also somewhere buried in this box also. Right now I don't got time to look for that and put that away, but I'll save that for another time that I actually come back to the storage. Alright, just to give you a look at the Proto Professional USA made box, and once again this is the Napa box here. Before I start putting everything away back in the red toolbox, just show you these flip sockets. I don't know if you can still pick up on the laser etching.